Hello and thank you for joining us on the Sunday edition of Journalist Hangout. That's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Today on the program, Governor Fayemi urges youths not to relocate to Canada, says better Nigeria possible as Nigerians jostle for Indian visas despite deadly COVID-19 outbreak amidst worsening insecurity. Nigeria, Chad, and others spend $18.5 billion on arms and hardware in 2020 as Finance Ministry releases 1.08 trillion naira to the army in 28 months. NBA battles Cross River governor over non-payment of salaries to magistrates for 2 years, and later on Journalist Hangout Weekend Special, Kano governor adopt innovative strategies to keep states secure. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adewale Adeye. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Let us begin the show today with good news. Peace has returned finally to the University of Lagos, UNILAG, as Vice Chancellor Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundikpe, who had a running battle with the former chairman of the Governing Council, Wale Babalakin, hosted the new members of the Governing Council, led by Senator Larry Tejosho. The council members, who were inaugurated on the 19th of April, were treated to a grand reception by the Vice Chancellor. Let's share the visuals from the event with you. Okay, in case you don't understand what we just showed you there, the visual you saw, the wife of the Vice Chancellor, that's Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundikpe, and the Pro-Chancellor of the school, that's the new one, that's Senator Larry Tejosho. And you can see the Vice Chancellor, and in a very, 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 very cordial atmosphere. Because at Bidisho, all what we're talking about was, it is UNILAG. It's all about UNILAG. We don't want individuals, we don't want the ego of individuals to appear in everything that has to do with UNILAG.
Yes, and it was gladdening to see Senator Tejosho dancing with the wife of the VC.
Yes, that's the wife of the VC. And that's Professor...
That's Professor Ogundikpe. Yeah. And at some point they hugged like brothers.
Yes.
This was not there before.
This is not master-servant.
Yeah, it's not a master-servant relationship. It's not a golfer-caddy relationship. Hey. You know, when you have a golfer, the caddy is the one who carries the bag. No matter how heavy it is.
Pick the balls, carry the bag.
21 holes golf course, he will be carrying. So that's not what it should be like. And if you put the university first, you will put your ego aside.
So with this, the school will move forward ultimately.
When they are not seeking the downfall of one another, and they are focused on the goal, which is to make UNILAG a better place. That is what we want to see. That's what we want to see.
Look at them.
Now, the people who work under them, won't they be excited? Won't they be happy to see their bosses, to see everyone happy? And I know that even in this place, Because King Sunny Ade has a song for every situation. I know there will be people who will, that even there they will be saying, give me that Sunny Ade Ote song.
Which one?
That mocks the loser in the event of a conflict. He has so many songs like that. He wants so far away wípé àfiwọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àfọlọ́run àfẹnìyàn àfọlọ́run ọba. No, none of us is greater than God.
Just only me.
Martins was saying here on Friday that anybody who gets suspended never returns. No. This is an example of someone who was suspended and returned. It depends on the God you serve and how you hold your God. If God is on your side, even if you are suspended, you come back.
Yes,
the
Professor
truth will prevail.
That is his testimony today.
Yes, God was on his side and he was reinstated.
And now, they dissolved the governing board because of him.
Yes. And now, because Adamu and the committee of vice chancellors said, no, this guy has done nothing wrong. They stood their ground that no, it won't happen.
The university community.
Yes, the Senate unanimously stood behind him. It's a lesson for every one of us, and I hope that this kind of atmosphere will continue. That the VC, the proud son of Lafiaji on Lagos Island, will stay humble and work with the new Governing Council chair.
Yeah. This is very, very encouraging. Wale?
Yeah, it's an impressive thing. If you have this kind of atmosphere in Nigerian institutions, and even at the political levels, I think the country will be better off. When you have this kind of conflict, there are usually factions. And if you don't resolve it, it will trickle down and affect academic life at the university. But with this kind of unity between them, it's going to sustain peace.
As the inauguration of Senator Larry Tejuso as the chairman of the Governing Council of University of Lagos.
Senate Committee Chairman for Health.
So it was the senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District where Senator Ibikunle Amosu is holding.
You can see him. That's him talking to the VC. That the picture you just saw. Look at him talking to the VC like
the VC.
Yes,
like at the inauguration. Okay, the VC is the one seated beside him.
Yes.
Oh.
You know. So it's good to see things like this, and I hope that they will stay united.
So the interest of the school,
focused,
the interest of the school
comes first,
and everything.
Comes
At the point in time when the crisis started, Wale Babalaki issued a query to the VC, and they suspended the graduation ceremony, which was
unheard of.
Happened in a long time.
It's unheard of.
It was postponed, and the crisis started rocking the schools. Oh, well, thank God for those of us that were product of University of Lagos. We're very happy that our school can now go back to the #1 position. So congratulations to Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe and the new board of Governing Council of the University of Lagos, led by Senator Larry Tejuso. We moved today.
Yeah.
Nice sight there. Yeah. All right. Now, the will to seek greener pastures outside the shores of Nigeria appear to be strongest force driving the youths. But Ekiti State Governor and Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Fayemi, wants a halt to that. Speaking at an event in Lagos, Governor Fayemi urged the youths to stop seeking visas to Canada because, in his words, there is a glass ceiling there. He said they should not allow frustration becloud their hope in realizing that Nigeria of their dream. Now, meanwhile, there's an upsurge in the number of Nigerians jostling to get visas to India, despite the outbreak of the deadly variant of COVID-19 in that particular Asian country. Babajide, last Saturday, it was on the platform where Governor Fayemi spoke as one of the guest speakers, and I listened to him, and he was trying to convince people that he stayed in the United Nations for UK for He stayed in the UK for like 15 years. If you read his book, he was a cab driver at a point in time. So he had to come back, and after he came back, the narrative changed. He became the governor of Ekiti State one time, became the minister, and back as a governor. So he's saying that there's no stopping him the way he is now, that the opportunities and everything, that we have enough opportunity, and the youth should please stay back. But a lot of Nigerians will not follow this line of advice.
I think it's futile to advise people against what I would describe as economic migration. Economic migration is what we are seeing. Even Americans are moving to China. Some are learning to speak the Chinese language. They are moving to China. Britons too are going to Canada. It has to do with what even the country of their destination are offering to people. It's not, Nigerians suddenly didn't just decide, oh, let us go to Canada. It is the Canadian government itself that has been targeting immigrants.
Incentive.
Because of their aging workforce. They have an average age of about 40. In Europe and America, people don't work and work until they're almost dead like us, because their pension system is effective. People retire early. They retire early and they start to draw pension. Some people draw pension for up to 40 years. Now, the implication of this is that you've got to do something to continue to keep the industries going, to keep people at their jobs, so that you are going to be in a position to be able to finance even these social services that we are talking about. Now, their country, look at, there's a province in their country that many Nigerians are going to, Alberta. Alberta is more than half the size of Nigeria. It's about 600,000 square kilometers. And there are just about 5 million people there. Lagos alone.
Canada is bigger than America.
Lagos alone is about 20 million people. So you can imagine just 5 million people living in a province that is bigger than Southwest, South-South, Southeast, and the North Central. And the North Central. You understand?
So accommodation,
they have
ease.
Now they are the ones, because they need to freshen up their labor force, and everyone knows that Africa is the place where you can get these immigrants ready to work, who have the energy and all that. Nigeria is fortunate about one thing: we have plenty of young people. Our population is dominated by young people. The problem we have,
provide them with jobs.
If we can even improve on security, let's even start from security.
Honestly.
And then move to other areas. I think it's a waste of time trying to tell people not to travel. The conditions in the country will make them decide whether to stay here or not. So let's make the country more conducive for them. Let's defeat this insecurity. Let's provide an enabling environment for people to be able to find jobs when they leave school. Our currency is almost dead. Wherever, when we're talking about the issue of India, yes, people are dying in India, but wherever Nigerians can earn money that they can remit home,
multiply.
They will go there.
Because our foreign remittance is very high.
Yes. What the government needs to do is capitalize on these huge remittances that Nigerians are making. That's what the Cubans have done. That's what the Filipinos have done. Create an opportunity for them to be able to invest while over there. In fact, the Filipinos tax diaspora people. Create such a system here whereby those of them over there will be able to invest in the country while making money over there. Even Indians themselves, a lot of them are outside their country. When it comes to foreign remittances, India is number one.
If you know the number of, because of the influx of Nigerians into Ghana, of recent, the Ghanaian government, they came up with a policy that if you want to own a shop, own a business, you must register with $1 million. Our federal government is still talking to the Ghanaian government because of this. Now, the number of our people that they've migrated to Ghana just leave this Nigeria. There's stable power supply, security is better and everything. Just anything but Nigeria.
Yeah. I think it's a natural law, self-preservation. You know, human beings are tending to move towards where they think there is the maximum advantage. The statement of Dr. Fayemi, I look at it from different angles. Well, it's an inspirational statement. You know, it's a stimulant to inspire people.
They have limitation
yeah,
where they are
in
going
the face of despondency, in the face of gloom, hopelessness. So a political leader should inspire. But then there is a difference between political statements and the realities that people go through every day. When there is no security, there are no jobs. You leave university for 10 years after. You are still looking for jobs. You are a graduate of engineering.
First class.
Yeah, a graduate of engineering, you are selling pure water. You know,
riding Okada.
Yeah, and you now
MSc holder riding Okada.
You now find a country whose colors are even different from your own. They don't bear the same name with you. They don't speak the same language, but they are ready to offer you all the essentials of life: education, health, housing. No human being will reject that. And you see what the way you have just said it, that it's not just Ghana. People are going through. I mean, not just Canada. Nigerians are moving in large numbers, even to Togo.
Yes.
Nigerians are moving in large numbers to Ghana.
Schools.
Even Libya.
Nigerians are moving to Libya. As we speak now, Nigerians are still passing through the Mediterranean.
Yes.
From Libya, they want to go to the Mediterranean to
Italy.
In desperation. So when you now look at the situation where even the senators, political leaders, look at them. Judges, many have their children in Canada. Their families in Canada. You see successful lawyers, their families are not here. Senators, their families are not here. Some even take their children to go to university in Togo.
Yes.
Or to go to university in Ivory Coast. Meaning that in Ghana, Francophone countries. So we are in a situation where, if you look at what happened in our history, some 400 years ago, when people were being taken for slavery, when they got abroad, they came back. They forced them with shame, with a padlock. They didn't want to go. They rushed back here because the conditions here, political, economic conditions, were better 400 years ago. But now, if you bring a plane to Murtala Mohammed Airport, even professors will scramble. Say, look, let me go to Canada. We are 400 years later. So the situation that is just not giving hope to anybody. Are we talking about youths that are being shot on the streets? Are we talking about people that wake up, they have nothing to eat? Are you listening to stories from page 1 to the end? Journalists must do their job. They must report the realities of their country. Yes. It's all about violence, it's all about killings. So there is really basically no hope in this country. At the age of 60, when people are supposed to retire after working for so many years, they want to relocate to Canada to go and work as vendor. You see chartered accountants after working.
Security men.
Yes.
Yes.
After these young men, the ideology.
Go to Walmart to go and work.
These young men are ideology of tomorrow. They are the Shadiadu of tomorrow. They are the people that will rebuild Canada. So they know they can see the future. So they are taking away the future of Nigerians. But Nigerians have they don't have the capacity to resist because our country, our leadership have failed to give us hope. So they will continue to move on.
This is very painful. This is very painful for those of us that we are patriots, that we have all the opportunity to move out and everything, and we say, look, we believe in this country and we believe it, but the government is not doing anything to stem the tide of this thing. It has always been there that people will have tendency to want to move to Europe, want to move abroad and everything. But right now, the demand, an average young man, when you just talk to him, says, I won't leave this country.
No, the insecurity is even the worst of the pressures that our people face. Because you don't want to die before your time. You don't want to die before your time. You want an environment where your children are safe, where they can get the best of education. Because for these immigrants, their children are also entitled to free education.
Yes.
Don't forget. So when everything is put together, that decision will not be difficult to make for young people. I told you before that a friend of mine said that in Canada, that staff of Zenith Bank, Zenith Bank, by the way, is Nigeria's most profitable bank on record. It's Nigeria's most profitable bank. This is facts, not fiction. Now, staff of Zenith Bank, there are so many in Canada that they formed a WhatsApp group by which they now interact and roll back the years and know that, talk about their country so that they will feel less
homesick. They just have to leave that job
now,
for the sake of their children.
Now, the point I'm even trying to make is we form WhatsApp group of ex-students of Christ School, these things, big schools, Titcomb College, all of these schools, because we want to remember, but not just to remember, because we are many. When you form a WhatsApp group of former staff of a bank, the bank that is clearly one of the highest paying in our country,
and still people decide that I'll leave.
I know people who are earning more than a million a month who have left for Canada. I was discussing with one of them in Ibadan. He said, see, you think it's a lot of money, that there are some elements you have that you discover that this is not money.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, I said, okay, if someone suffers kidney problem,
you have to do dialysis.
he has to be on dialysis every week. That 1 million will amount to nothing. Ultimately, you need a transplant.
Yeah.
You may not be able to foot the medical bill.
Before the next
you will now know that at that point you will now know that it's not so much money. People will need to contribute for you. But in some saner climes, even such services can be provided free.
Government.
A lot of the services in China, I mean in what's it called, Canada, are socialist in nature, but they are tax driven. People need to work, pay their taxes before government will be able to. And in a country where the birth rate is also very low, you know, white people, they are not like us who will give birth to 8 kids and 9 kids, 10 kids. The average birth distance for them is just one child per woman. So in such a situation, they know that a time will come when they will not have people to work in their corporations, and also they're encouraging people to come. If they don't want Nigerians to go to Canada, they should make the environment here more conducive. The things that are causing people to go to China, we can provide for our people here. Have I not given the example of Dubai, the UAE people, before they made their country so great now that everyone wants to go there? It was Lebanon that they used to go to. Lebanon was the most beautiful place in the Arab world. But they told themselves that no, we can make our own country more beautiful than Lebanon. That is the story of Dubai today. The Emirates airline that you see that everyone is talking about,
one of the best in the world.
Nigeria Airways once donated aircraft to them. Emirates that you are talking about, they used to do their C-check at the airways hangar here. Even Ethiopia used to do their C-check here in Nigeria. Today, where do we do our C-check? We go to France, we go to US and other places to do C-check. Our decline has been incremental
over the
years. If we don't do anything about it, this the immigration will continue, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Wale, most important thing that is that what the Canada is talking about now is so organized. When you see people, it will be as if it's a church. As in the crowd, people sitting down for exams, they want to get the professionals from here so that they will go and get job there. There are tests you will write, and those tests, they are in stages.
Of course.
People that are going through it, they know what I'm talking about. That they are going to write even TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language. That is a big industry. It's booming now.
Yeah.
They have test centers all over the country.
Sure. Well, it's unfortunate. We can't legislate against it. The only way we can stop it is to make Nigeria more attractive. I've been to Canada before, and I think it's one of the most beautiful countries one can ever imagine. You know, in terms of respect for human rights in Canada, and in terms of the rate of crime, you know, then racism is not so pronounced in Canada, because they also have indigenous people, indigenous Indian in Canada. So it's a new.
You have
world.
the French-speaking side, and you have the English.
The Quebec, French speaking. So it's a new world that is far more attractive to anyone that that you can. Everyone wants to live in that kind of, because when you look at the history, the availability of health services, education and everything, I mean, you want your wife to, your children to grow up in that kind of area. Here, your children go to school. Before they come at 2 o'clock, your mind is not settled. Yep. You don't know what has happened to them. So,
okay, I have my first caller. Adeoye is calling us from Isolo in Lagos, Nigeria.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Ade.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. To this topic, because they are all my mentors, but I won't be convinced to travel out due to this economic issue, which I sat down, although it's my dad that called me not to go to Canada, because I abide with what our governor said, but we should not go to Canada. But for me, this economic is very, 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 very critical, because I won't lie to you, I'm a BS holder and I'm working in an hotel. Any little amount, I won't say just like, okay, little amount, let's say 25,000 a month, and I'm BS holder. You see what I'm saying? But I've been convinced, many people have come to me, let's go to Canada, you do this, you do something, but I have the hope that Nigeria will be okay. I have the hope that this country will change for better. But our leaders are not doing good for us. That's just the truth. I voted for this leader, for this present government. But although they are trying, but in fact, I'm fed up. But I know if I have predicted something in my mind that after 5 years, if I'm not seeing change, I will have to travel to another country.
Just hang on. Just hang in there. Just hang in there. Yes, still some youths that they have faith in this country, and they are praying to God, and they believe that something along the line will happen that will alter the status quo.
Yes, we are desperate for good leadership. It's as simple as that. There is a big difference that good leadership can make. We have not been lucky to have a succession of good leaders. The system doesn't even allow
the best to emerge.
The best to emerge, and unselfish and brilliant leaders. The system finds a way of shutting them out. And then when they die, you then hear people saying, this is the best president we never had. We had that about Awolowo. Yeah. We wasted him. We wasted him, and when he died, we started hearing such rubbish as, the best president Nigeria never had, by some of the people who made it impossible for him to be president. So it is good leadership that we want. Nigerians are excelling everywhere. They're excelling everywhere. Wherever they find themselves, they are excelling. You can see even the current government in the US. Yes. Look at the Nigerians that they brought into the administration.
The last everywhere. They're like 8.
Yeah. Nigerians go abroad. They do well. Positions. In some of the best universities in the world, Nigerians get into those universities on scholarship, and they will appear on the honors roll.
Yes.
The best schools in the US, Nigerians are are the best students
if
there.
If they ask the alumnus of Kennedy School of Governance in Harvard to come out now, you will see the number of Nigerians in the roll call. It's okay. Okay, I have Chris from Turkey. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. Just step away from your monitor.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. Where in Turkey are you calling us from?
From Istanbul.
Istanbul. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead with the contribution, Chris.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Babajide.
Good afternoon.
And I've been watching him for the past 4 years. I like the analytics. So I'm a good fan of journalists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know we have a good citizen youth in Nigeria. We have a good citizen that is. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just keep talking.
Okay, I'm from Nigeria. Look at, I was opportune to invite an investor to Nigeria. That was 4 years ago. What the man told me, he said he would like to come to Nigeria to invest, but there are our politicians who are corrupt.
Yes.
He said they are corrupt because he tried as much as possible. Because I discussed with him, I told him I have football academy which I would like you to come out. What I would like you to come and invest. So we have a lot of conversation, long conversation. So he made an appointment to fly down to Nigeria. At the end of the day, he was discouraged because of the corrupt of our politicians. Now he was telling me that he has something that he will come to Nigeria, he will infuse in our fuel, where you can go for a 10 minutes with 5 naira of fuel. Once he flew that into our fuel, then you can use that fuel you're going to use for 10 minutes. You will use it for 5 minutes. I don't know if you're getting me.
Yes.
So we have a good citizen who would like to come to Nigeria to invest, but the rate of our politicians are corrupt is unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Thank you, Chris. All the way from Istanbul, Turkey. This gentleman making the country great again, and when you look at the odds and we have opportunities, people do come back here, they come and take government job. We discover that there's a discrimination between the foreign certificate and the indigenous certificate now. People still get jobs from outside Nigeria, come and pick appointments here and everything. So we still have the kind of prospects that Dr. Fayemi is saying, but when you wait on the ratio, the ratio of the people going out and getting greener pasture down there outweighs the number of people that come back home and they pick up jobs here.
Yes, it is clear what government needs to do. Whether our leaders will be responsible enough to do it is a question that is there. They've got to do their best for our country, make our country better. They can do better than they have delivered at this time. Politicians, our leaders need to do better. There is too much selfishness, too much accent being placed on me than us. By the time we begin to take the Nigerian project seriously and brush aside selfish interests, honestly, this country will be great. I believe in Nigeria, and my prayer to God is that we'll become a greater country. We'll emerge from these difficulties to become the country that at independence we had the potential to be. For now, everyone has left us behind. The countries that were rated on the same level with at independence, countries like Malaysia, Brazil, Singapore, they've all left us behind. I just wish that our leaders will sit up and do what is right.
In our lifetime, we can make Nigeria great again.
I think one of the most important things the government needs to provide is food. You see, I was
eradicating poverty.
Yes, I was with Sunday Times in South Africa just for a short period. I worked with them, and I did a story in Johannesburg. I met a Nigerian who just came back from prison. So after interviewing him, I said, "Okay, would you like to go back to Nigeria? You have now been released." He said, you spoke in pidgin. Oga, I go like make a day of South African prison. I prefer than going to live in Nigeria." And I said, "Why?" He said, "The food we in the shop for Christmas in Nigeria, only Christmas time. You will eat that food in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night, in prison, in South African prison." And that thing stuck to my memory. So if people can get access to food, unfortunately we can't even farm any longer because of terrorism and all that.
Yes.
So when people cannot eat, I'm not just talking of food, quality food.
Yes.
When people don't have access to food, forget about it. They will do anything.
Even some of the women taken to prostitution. It's because of poverty.
Yes.
Because one was telling me that, look, my parents sent me to school. I've not given anything back to them. And you want me to remain here. You know, so that one is already thinking of going to Dubai. That maybe she will find a job in Dubai so that she can at least repay the love and the sacrifice of her parents. So these are really difficult times.
Wow. Okay, moving on now. While suffering economic deficits, security continues to take a large chunk of the finances of most African countries, according to a report by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. The likes of Nigeria, Chad, Mali, Uganda, Mauritius increased their military expenditure by 3.4% to reach $18.5 billion in 2020. According to that report, Nigeria spent 198.84 billion naira on the fight against terrorism since 2019. And also, during a parley with the Senate Committee on the Nigerian Army, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said the Army got 1.08 trillion naira as budget in 28 months, which is from January 2019 to the first quarter of 2021. I go over that again. It's 1.08 trillion naira as the budget in 28 months, which is from January 2019 to the first quarter of 2021. This is very expensive, Babajide, prosecuting the kind of war, internal war you're prosecuting, facing the insurgents in the northeast, and I've heard you talk about even the Air Force, what it takes them to run a trip. So, you know, we are fighting a very, very expensive war.
It's very expensive, and war is by nature more expensive than making peace. People have got to realize that war is expensive.
So those that are drumming the beat of war now,
because some of them have never seen war in the real sense of the word, so they can sit in their rooms and be talking about going to war, Nigeria being separated, this and that. Although, in my view, a lot of these things revolve around leadership. If leadership can guarantee equity, some of these agitations will not be there.
Yes.
Frankly,
fairness.
Because I can tell you, at least during the military rule, for example, we weren't getting this kind of agitations. I'm talking about the 70s and even
not giving credence to military rule, but the way the country was run.
They have a way of uniting us more.
Yes.
You know, than the civilians. The politicians are by nature very divisive.
Yes.
They draw their strength from dividing us as a people. Divide and rule is their stock in trade. If you and I agree, they won't be happy. They want to see us quarrel amongst ourselves. That is where they derive their strength. It's so terrible. So the point I'm making is, when you look at countries that are facing all kinds of threats, terrorism threats, threats of internal
insurrection,
yes, and insurgency, they have taken military spending seriously. Look at Chad, for example, because it is said that Chad had the biggest increase in spending at 31%, compared to Nigeria at 29%. I'm not surprised, because Chad is building a very big military industrial complex, and I know that they even ordered for 100 units of the MRAP from the Nigerian manufacturer Proforce, based here in Ogun State. So that's to tell you their ambitions and the way the military is organized in that country. If they had not been organized, if they had not acquired some level of capability, honestly, the death of Debbie would have led to regime change, because the rebels were trying to come into the country, come into the state capital, the capital, and seize it, but they didn't succeed. And even after Debbie's death, the threats have not stopped. They've continued to try to overrun the Chad, but they've been kept at bay in northern Chad, where they have some strength. So this is the situation. Chad, Mauritania, Mali, Uganda, they are the countries apart from Uganda, that is outside of the Sahel region, they are the countries where threat of terrorism, Boko Haram style terrorism, is real, and you can see that they are spending so much money. What I also found interesting is that US, China, India, Russia, and the UK accounted for 62% of global spending, global military spending, and that China, for the 26th straight year, China spending on the military grew. That should also tell you the ambition. It shows clearly that China wants to remain a very strong global power when it comes to the military.
No, Wale, Chad, Mali, Uganda, Mauritius, Nigeria. Now, when you look at this configuration, you discover that even the amount spent on this defense budget, you discover that we might not get incommensurate the same amount or up to this amount in terms of infrastructural development.
Yeah.
You have to give one to take one.
Yes.
Jide spoke about Chad. Idris Deby spent the whole time, his whole time in building the army. They have a very strong army. Yeah. But when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to development, you can make Chad a reference point in Africa.
Like Babajide said, the great nations spend on defense, but for different purposes. Russia, USA, China, even Israel, they spend a lot of money on defense, but for a different reason. Most of the time, they spend these funds against external threats, external aggression. And most of the weapons they spend money on is on research, innovation. They produce some of these sophisticated equipment, they create jobs. So there are they have industrial complex in US, in Britain, where people are working, thousands of people are working, that are related to, or like here in Mauritania, Mali, they are spending funds on military to suppress internal rebellion, internal dissent, people rising up against those nations. Take, for instance, a country like Chad. Chad has about 600,000 women and children in refugee camps. Chad is just about 16 million people. The level of literacy is so low, and they spend little money beyond UNESCO recommendation on education. In Nigeria, we have about 10.5 million children out of school. It's even worse in countries like Mali, Chad, and others. So when you look at all these countries that I have mentioned, the reasons why they spend money on on defense. It's because of poor leadership, mismanagement, corruption, electoral malpractices that has now created internal resentment, rebellion, and armed resistance in their own country. So it will be better for a developing country to invest more on essentials of life, education, health, electricity. But when you don't have all these basic things and all you do is you just acquire weapons that you don't even produce, at the end of the day, the people, the man on the street will suffer for the consequences.
It will look at it that if this is if we apply this into development, but there can't be development without security.
Without peace.
If we don't have peace, and the amount we'll continue to spend because it's not enough. We're still talking about lack of equipment. We're still talking about getting military hardware. We're still talking about getting aircrafts, different aircraft and everything. The way we are now, it's not as if this situation will change in the next 3-4 years. It will be more than this, and it will always be like this. As in the amount we are going to keep spending on defense and security.
No, the thing is, we made a mistake from the beginning. Countries don't just suddenly begin to spend money, like a drunken sailor on the military. You spend money consistently. Acquiring capability. Acquiring capability is not a day's job. Now, for so long, we did not equip the military. Goodluck Jonathan said during a rally here in Lagos that there were some leaders who failed to buy even a rifle for the army. He said it during the rally, and some people were mocking him. But the truth is, he was saying the truth. Even the Navy will refuse to buy warships for the Navy. So now it has caught up with us. We always told ourselves that, look, our neighbors are peaceful. There's no need to spend so much on the military. We have now seen that even if your country is peaceful, look at Japan. It's not as if Japan wants to fight a war with anybody. In fact, their constitution does not permit that anymore, except if it is simply for defense of the country. But they are acquiring military capability. Yeah. They are building weapons of their own. They have one of the best, one of the best armored tanks, main battle tank. They have one of the best in the world. So we should have been doing that from the 70s to the 80s, but some of our leaders felt that this could even cause the military to revolt against them. We had of a former leader who said, if we bought too much for the army, that they could use it against the government. So they were more concerned. They were more concerned about regime protection than even protecting the country. So we now have an insurrection within our country. Even the weapons to deal with it, we do not have. The same attitude extended to not even recruiting into the army and the police consistently. So now these things have caught up with us. Time. You look at Egypt, you look at Algeria, you know that we don't have weapons. Yeah. When you compare their capabilities to our own, we don't have weapons. It's like we have not even started. Well, if people are saying the finance minister has given so much to the army, how much is it? It's not even, you compare to what some of the countries in Africa are even doing. I mean, it's not so much money. We've got to consistently invest in the military. When we have a military that we can be proud of, all kinds of threats, whether they are internal or external, our military will be able to address those threats and keep everyone safe. The way we are now, we are not safe. We are not safe. That is the truth.
So, Wale, when you look at this trend and we want to advise the federal government of Nigeria, we have poverty, unemployment to handle, infrastructural deficits to handle, and these are security matters. And the money, and we'll continue to borrow to actually get these hardwares?
It's very unfortunate that security has assumed a life of its own. You can't now come out and say, oh, we don't need to spend money on security. It's just not possible, given the level of insecurity that the country faces. So the country needs to balance between spending on security and also providing for the needs of the people. And I think we can do this by reducing the cost of governance, salaries for political, political appointees and all that. And also we need to have a long-term plan. Defense Industry Corporation of that was established in Kaduna started at the same time with the one in Brazil. So you could see that Nigeria is supposed to be the role model, in Africa. We are the one that's supposed to be selling weapons, selling military hardwares to other. It's supposed to be a huge business for us. So we need to have a long-term plan to be able to develop our own indigenous military complex so that we can become a regional power. And instead of just depending on a foreign country all the time, so that the other countries in West Africa can depend on Nigeria for military hardware. But as long as we continue to import these weapons, I don't think it's going to be sustainable. It's going to be cheaper producing them at home, and it's also going to be a source of increasing our revenue if we begin to sell military hardware to other countries, out of West Africa.
That reminds me of again the Provost man and
Ogun State
and Remo. A country like Chad requested for 100 units of the MRAP built here by a Nigerian. Rwanda also requested for. If Rwanda, all the way from that part of the continent, can observe that there is a company in Nigeria capable of building durable
MRAPs,
then why haven't we taken it a step further? That should tell you that if we had run was our DIC the right way,
Nigerian Defense Corporation.
If we had run the DIC the right way, certainly we would be where some of the countries of Europe are now. I believe that even if they are light weapons, we can produce light weapons. But at a point, Defense Industry Corporation was producing furniture for the army and all. So that was not what it was designed for, So this is the situation, and military spending will continue as long as
joining us,
security remains a problem.
Joining us live now is a security expert, retired Colonel Stan Labo, joins us via Skype. Thank you for staying with us. Colonel Stan Labo, thank you for staying with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I can hear you clearly.
All right. We are talking about spending 1.08 trillion naira in the last 28 months, and a country that is struggling with its finances. But we have the kind of insurgents that we're taking care of in the northeast. So we are spending so much, and we keep borrowing to prosecute these things. What's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. And once more, I say thank you for having me. I do appreciate the fact that we are spending so much, and it's making us go around borrowing as if we are such a very poor country, even though we ourselves have already gone poor anyway. But what I would say is the problem is that, you see, it's unfortunate I didn't listen to all the background discussions you had or the intro which you have to this topic, but I know I will not be repeating you over some of them. I want you to understand that the defense sector in this country has undergone a great deal of negligence for too long a time. Partly because I think we're not security conscious and so on. And of course, we all know the stories under how the military, there were efforts to see that certain components of the military itself, suffer from re-equipment and so on. Whatever the case, this negligence is today telling so much on us, unfortunately, at the time when we have our own war to deal with, no longer the Sierra Leonean or Liberian war and so on, when we were having better off equipped. Now, like it is, when you look at whatever the huge expenses we think we are carrying out in the defense sector today, it is merely a drop in the ocean. I'm saying this from some reasonable level of knowledge. Okay, the bulk of the military wares you buy are so expensive and they're never there on shelf. So even when we spend all this huge money getting them, we have to wait for some time. Because of course, we've got to negotiate them with the manufacturers, they take your configurations, and so on. Now, if you sit and look at it from the man's point of view, you will say, we are spending so much. If you compare what we are spending to what I want to call the UN GDP sectorial spending allocations, for defense, the UN's prescription for sectorial expenditure is that we should spend about 1.50 of your GDP on defense. You agree with me there are sectoral allocations like that too, for education, for health, this and that and so on. For defense is 1.50. Chad, as we speak, spends 1.86 in terms of GDP to defense. Nigeria, as we speak, spends 1.62. Mali spends 1.71. Our great country, Nigeria, spends 0.46. So even the huge expenses we are doing now, which is making us all say, is it only defense? We have not even started. Compared to all these countries around us. And the advantage the countries around us even have is that, most of them have been in war. Chad has been in war for years upon years. We know the situation in Mali. You are journalists. You even know this is better than I do. And Nigeria, some of us refer to Nigeria as even failed state. So the point I'm trying to make, sir, is this. Given our huge size in terms of population, given our huge size in terms of land mass, and so on and so forth, look at the amount of borders we have to cater for, and so on. Yet, we are spending just barely 0.46, sir. Meaning we have not even started measuring up yet. Unfortunately, the economy is not doing well again. So any small push or increment, everybody shouts. I was one of those who was seriously critical about the $1 billion that was released when the whole country was shouting. And I was mad. I said, what is $1 billion compared to what the situation is in the defense sector? When I say defense sector now, I even have the things and everything completely, the defense security sector. What is $1 billion? At the end, what has the $1 billion fetched for us? The Tucano aircraft and the small Jara remaining has gone into making sure that there are other components that go into the negotiations for the aircraft, such as we make sure it comes with spares, maintenance arrangement, training, and so on, so that it doesn't come and gets bogged down. In fact, we've gone a step further, even making sure it is coupled there and then flowing straight, so that we don't come here again and start coupling again, and so on. So yes, we are spending so much. I agree with the position of the House. I agree with Nigerians who are speaking from a layman's position and so on. But even that so much is not yet measurable to what we need. I can assure you, if God helps us and we are done with this security situation on ground now, within the next, say, 4 or 5 years, is my prayer, if I want to be optimistic. If I want to remain in my pessimistic view, I will believe in the next 15 years we are saying this. But let's all be hopeful that in another 4 or 5 years we are out of it.
Colonel.
Then now we can settle down and begin to equip
Colonel.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, I have to ask you that on the final note, that the proliferation of small arms into this country, we have over 250 million of it around our country right now, and we can see the crisis that this has led to. How can government tackle this trend?
My brother, all this while, if you've been listening to me, especially on your reputable platform, TVC, I have always said we are now right, more than right, to put in place a border protection force now. Somebody might tell you, do we need to start proliferating these forces, having another force again? Okay. What is the job of the immigration? Is it just issuing a passport and also they go to sleep? Look into the immigration, cut out a chunk of the immigration, turn them into a combat arm, train them, they remain the combat arm of the immigration, and they take care of the border. However, we must equip them to the teeth. When I say a combat border patrol force, such a border patrol force will have all the technology a border patrol force requires. It will even have an aviation wing, if I'm to go further. Just look at what is happening in the US, Mexico, and so on. Countries that have good border patrol experience will be able to copy from them and be able to check our border. Our border has become part of the major problem we have today when we talk of security in this country. And if we are talking about borders and so on, we should also see that we revisit the ECOWAS protocol on free movement and trade and see how it impacts negatively on our national security. We should look at that.
Okay. I want to thank you, retired Colonel Stan Lambo.
In that organization.
Thank you. We had a very tough time with that audio there. That's why we cannot extend this. I want to thank you and wish you the best of luck. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Yes, thank you for staying with us. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. This is the second leg, and I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the studio and Wali Adeoye, and we are looking at the security situation and the money spent on that, on securing the Nigeria and some other countries like Chad, Mali, and Uganda. But particularly when you want to look at it, on a final note here, and the country is broke, and we need to sustain our financing of this sector so that we can get results, at least, so that our soldiers will be well equipped to prosecute the various activities in the northeast and against the bandits across the country.
As I said earlier, we made a mistake by not consistently equipping the army. Now, if you need to buy some equipment, then you have to buy second hand. Some of the equipment supplied are not new. And when you supply equipment that are not new, it is clear that even their lifespan will be short. So it may not give you the result that you expect for the number of years that you want to use them. Armor tanks, even fighter jets, you have to buy second hand, because if we are to go through the normal channel as we have done in case of the Tucano fighter bombers, you could be waiting for 4 or 5 years before they are delivered. Military equipment are not bought like sweets or biscuits that you just pick on the shelf, and buy. You have to wait until they are manufactured. And when they are manufactured, they will be delivered to you. You will sign an agreement in terms of servicing of the equipment and even training of your men who will use them. For example, Nigerians are being trained now in the US on how to fly the Tucano, and they are building a hangar specifically for it. I don't want to mention where that is being done, you know. So all of these things take time. But if you don't want it to take time because you have a pressing need, then you have to buy from a third party. And when you buy from a third party, it means that the equipment is used. And
you will not get permission.
I'm seeing us even buying, this day we are buying tanks from even China. And they are not the best at doing such things. But we are looking for where we can get these things quickly, you know. So this is a lesson for us. I also agree with the Colonel Stanlabo that the money that Nigerians are talking about is not a lot of money. A single US B-2 bomber costs $2 billion. One aircraft that can be lost in battle, you know, and
$2 billion.
$2 billion for one aircraft. One aircraft. The US also has a fighter a bomber that costs $80 million for one, and they have 250 of them. So you can imagine $80 million in 250 places. That's to tell you the extent to which they invest on the military, and that's why it is the strongest military in the world. They have more aircraft. They have almost 2 times the number of aircraft that Russia has. You know, so it gives them that edge.
They have platforms for it.
Yes, in case of combat, they are ready. Even the confidence of the fighter system, you can be sure of that. But in our own case, even some of the people using the equipment, they are not so certain that the equipment will deliver when they.
I have Owolafe from Ogun State.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My name is Owolafe. Thank you very much, Babajide, and both of you, Mr. Wale, and you too. I really appreciate you. I want to contribute to the first thing you mentioned about this country that people are traveling. This country, especially, we don't have a good leader, and that is the problem we have. As a journalist, you people in this country, somebody, they will celebrate somebody that took in a 1.2 billion, 1.5 billion. In that country that you people are mentioned, they are trying to go. Are they support the money like that? Are they celebrating the people that have taking the money, federal government, the constitution, he allowed them, when we are going to the court, is 6 months in the jail. Is it the same thing they are done in that country you are mentioned? People are saying they are going to the other country. This country, we are the problem of ourselves.
You are right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Wale?
Yeah, I think beyond the cost of the cost of expedition of military, it's also the issue of accountability. We need to ensure there is accountability, and then there is a link between political leadership, and insecurity. If we have good governance, people have all the major things that they need. It's going to reduce rebellion, at the home front, and we'll be spending less, at least on insurgency. Then I think what's also important is indigenous capacity, to exploit indigenous capacity to build our own military complex as a kind of long-term plan. If you look at all these developed countries, there is a link between the university system. It's not just about ASU strike, ASU riot. Oxford University, Yale University in Connecticut, these universities abroad, they form the bedrock of industrial takeoff of those nations.
Research.
There is they have R&D, research and development of the country. When Awolowo was building the Southwest, the university community provided the intellectual power that drove the political economy of the Western region. So the academic community, the political leadership, there should be a kind of blend between them so that they can work together towards funding local research. So that in terms of long-term project, we will be able to produce our own military needs to the extent that we can also export them.
Okay. All right. Moving on now. The running battle between the governor of Cross River State, Professor Ben Ayade, and magistrates in the state shows no sign of abating. For 2 years, the governor has refused to pay their salaries, while protests by the magistrates did not change his stance. 29 of them have not been paid for 27 months. Now the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, has joined the fray and are battling with the governor to get the magistrates paid. But actually, what is the bone of contention here? Why will Governor Ayade ground the system for close to 2 years?
Well, it's not as if others have been paid. We are talking about 29 or 30 magistrates that the governor or the government claims there were irregularities in the manner in which they were recruited. But these magistrates are still working. And if you fail to pay people, it will definitely have a serious impact on the dispensation of justice. We live in a country where even when people are being paid, the best of times, justice still gets sold to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
So how much more of a situation in which you fail to pay people for so many months, and they've complained, yet you fail to do anything about it. The truth is, there is a need for a resolution of this matter so that even the dispensation of justice will not be affected in any way. To refuse to pay judges or magistrates or anybody for that matter is it's unacceptable. People, the worker, before his sweat gets dry on his body, deserves his wages. That's what Prophet Muhammad said. You have to pay the worker before the sweat on his body gets dry. So, Professor Ayade has failed to pay people for more than 2 years. I mean, it's unheard of. It's unacceptable.
How did we get here? Don't they have peer review mechanism in the governor's forum? Can't the governor sit down with Governor Ayade and say, look, this is another arm of government. You have to make sure you are careful the way you deal with them.
Well, Ayade is a professor. He should understand the implication of what he's doing. I believe people have been talking to him, but the final decision, is unstable. I mean, these people have been working. They got letters of employment with conditions of employment stated there. And you should know that judges have little alternative means of surviving. A judge cannot go and take contract. He can't be in the board of a company to be any. He can't go and teach, maybe on part-time basis. So this is the only way that they can earn a living. And when if you look at the history of our country, it's very rare for you to see judges going on the street to protest. For the fact that they carry out that protest,
very shameful.
They have been pushed to the extreme. One of them, Richard Bassey, was said to have collapsed. When they were having that. So I think the governor should feel the shame of the country. He should save us this international embarrassment. He should pay them. They have worked. They said there were irregularities, but they were working, for the past 30 months. So he should pay them. This thing has been going on for a very long time. If he doesn't want to kill justice in that state, because with this kind of situation now, they are tempted to, if if people go to them and give them bribe, I mean, the temptation will be so high. So I think he's an educated person, he's a professor, so he should understand the implication of this national embarrassment. We hope that in the next few days we will resolve this problem.
That's why some of us oppose the idea of the executive pretending over financial matters as they concern the judiciary. These governors have refused to let judicial autonomy take place. And you ask the question, what really is their interest? Why are they going against the constitution of our nation? Because the constitution gives judicial autonomy, gives autonomy to the judiciary. So at the state level, the funds of the judiciary ought to be given to the heads of courts. That is what is being done at the federal level. But at state level, governors are just doing what they like. They are not respecting the Constitution. So you need to, the governor of Cross River has to do the right thing. And the right thing is to pay the magistrates for the services that they've rendered. And then in the final analysis, the governors must allow judicial autonomy to happen. When judicial autonomy happens, this sort of thing will not be happening. Because the heads of courts will be the custodian of the finances of the various courts. President Buhari does not touch the funds of the judiciary. The funds go straight to the heads of the courts. If they could do it at federal level, why wouldn't they be able to do it at state level? I don't know why these governors are behaving like this. I mean, I just don't understand. To have judges march through the streets is unheard of. I've never had anything like that in our country. Because even to see judges, even when we are growing up, to even see judges is a rarity.
You don't see them in social gatherings. You don't see them.
You don't see them. Now the judges going out, marching like common workers, asking for what belongs to them. I mean, it's unfortunate. We just hope that this matter will be resolved before too long.
Because in terms of financing, Wale, we've always advocated that this thing should be taken out of the hand of both for the federal and this thing. Even the chief judge must not go hand the cap in hand to the president that I need money.
That is what the Constitution says. These funds we are talking about were allocated. They should not have been spent for any other thing. So that's why we are talking about judicial autonomy. But for the governor to now hold the funds, talking about irregularities, how long will it take you to regularize, after they had worked for 30 months? So I think there is no justification. They have not committed any crime, except that they have been serving their state loyally. So you should pay them. And that's why we need to push, on the long run for judicial autonomy so that judges can, because with this kind of thing, there's not going to be separation of powers. The governor will be controlling, manipulating the judiciary, the way he likes.
That's what they always want. And someone was saying that if judges get to the point when they are broke, their wages are not paid, then people who have the means, who are also seeking justice before those judges, they will just quickly move in and bribe those judges. Because they need to survive.
Yes.
We just bribe them and justice will go to the highest bidder. That means the common man may never be able to get justice in this kind of situation, because when you are up against someone who has money to pay judges who are broke, who have not been paid for so many months, then you are in a position of strength against maybe a poor man who has elected to take you to court. But all of this shouldn't even have happened if governors have not chosen to commit judicial sacrilege. The judicial sacrilege they commit is the fact that they are holding on to the finances of the judiciary in their respective states against the letters of the Constitution in section 121. Subsection 3 or so.
Yeah. I have Johnson. Johnson is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Johnson.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Johnson.
Yes, my name is Johnson. I want to contribute to it. Now, those governors who are not paying salary to workers, are they not getting their own salary?
They get it before everybody.
Now, those who are not paying salary, are they not getting their own salary? This is why they can never be peace in Nigeria. If we don't pay salary to people, why do they eat? They can't eat, they can't feed their family. And you say that below armed robber on the street, they will continue to be. And I pray in the name of Jesus.
It's not something that you can just go all out there.
Just leave them to God.
Yeah.
God can serve his own. God can serve his own justice to them.
And even we still have the Juson thing. For like the second month running, and the some guys are still at home.
Yes, because they have not seen empirical evidence that these governors want to change. At the end of the day, people make so much sacrifices, and the problem will still remain. I think that is what Johnson is scared of. And the governors should have called the judiciary staff to say, look, this is what we want to do. The Minister of Labour can't be left alone to handle these matters. The Minister of Labour has his own issues even with governors, because he was threatening the other day that he could sue some governors for not paying the minimum wage. Although I'm not convinced that he will carry out the threat, because a lot of the governors are members of his own party. But by being the Minister of Labour, in case of refusal to pay minimum wage, indeed, the power to prosecute has been given to him. But whether he will exercise that power is what we don't know. Now, in the case of Jusun, the minister has tried his best, but his best has not been good enough to convince both parties to let industrial harmony happen. Governors need to tell us. They said from this month that they will see the signs. Governors need to tell us what they want to do.
Implement it.
Create, come up with timelines that, okay, so time it will take off.
Can get the confidence of these workers.
The funds have been allocated to the judiciary. It doesn't need rocket science to disburse such monies to the heads of course.
Right.
The president has done it. He has shown you how it is done. So why are you trying to make things difficult?
We'll take yet another break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back. Stay with us. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday, reaching you live from the best TV station of the year. And we are still looking at the crisis in Cross River State, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mba Kweno, joins us via Zoom. Thank you for staying with us.
Yes, thank you.
What do you make of Governor Ayade's refusal to pay 27 months' salaries to magistrates? 29 of them are actually involved.
What's going on?
Well, it is an inhuman treatment of the magistrates who have worked, and the governor has refused to ensure that their salaries are paid to them and other emoluments that they are entitled to. It is inhuman. A lot of stories have been told about it, both from the side of the government and from the side of the magistrates. But it doesn't make meaning to me as a person that people who have been employed by the State Judicial Service Commission and resume work and have worked for this number of months and years you have mentioned are not being paid their entitlement. It is inhuman. It is inhuman.
How did the governor suddenly take this decision? Or what really happened?
What drew the battle line? It was the battle line drawn.
Well, the governor feels that from what I have heard, the meeting that we were supposed to have, he refused to allow the meeting to hold because I was to attend the meeting. He feels that any issues that are against his government I'm involved in. So he refused to allow the meeting to take place. Maybe at the meeting we would have been able to express ourselves, and I hear one-on-one from him what are the reasons for him refusing to pay them their entitlement for the work they have done. They have been employed properly. So if what I hear is true, what he is talking about, that the appointment was improper, that is rubbish, because the governor himself approved those appointments. It's completely nonsense to me. It's nonsensical to hear that appointment of magistrates that were duly done by the State Judicial Service Commission with the approval of the governor himself, because if the governor sends a list of people to be employed, to be appointed by the State Judicial Service Commission, I don't see any other approval that is stronger than that. He himself sent a list of persons that were appointed as magistrates. Appoint these people for me. So what approval is stronger than that one? So what I'm hearing about approval not being given, that is why I say it is nonsensical and it doesn't make any meaning to me.
Well, haven't you heard of any other reason beyond this? Because it still sounds strange to hear this kind of thing, magistrates not being paid, working without getting one's wages. It's really surreal. Have you heard other reasons that could have triggered the governor's action?
I've not heard any other tangible reason. I've not heard any other tangible reason. The only reason that I heard that is he did not give approval to the appointment of those magistrates, and I say that is not correct. It is a blatant falsehood for him to say he did not give approval. And I repeat that no approval can be stronger than the governor himself sending a list and said, I want you to favor me with this number of persons to be employed. When the branch chairman visited him, I learned that he told the branch chairman that quite a reasonable number of the persons appointed are from his own local government. And he tries to look saintly by saying that would look as if he cornered the appointments to himself. And that is true. He cornered the appointment to himself. A long list of persons. There is a lady among the magistrates who had to travel all through the night from Lagos to Calabar to attend that interview. And that person was invited by the governor to come and attend that interview. And she is here, having left her job in Lagos to come and be a magistrate in Cross River State, and is not being paid. Is among the people who are in the governor's list. It is quite an unreasonable thing for a governor to do.
Okay.
It is unacceptable.
Let's talk about judicial autonomy, because the desire to have it has pushed judiciary workers to go on industrial action. Why do you think governors are insistent on not allowing judicial autonomy to see the light of the day?
Two things within my mind. One, the governors want to take control of the judiciary, to be doing what the governor of Cross River State is doing with the Cross River State judiciary. That is one aspect of it, why they want to control their resources. They want to have a strong hold on the judiciary. Secondly, they want to control the appointments of the judiciary. They want to control the resources of the judiciary. Because, as you know, every now and then for the judiciary to be going to the governor to beg for money is itself a very big control over the judiciary. So we are all in support of the autonomy of the judiciary, financial autonomy of the judiciary. Financial autonomy of the judiciary will insulate the judiciary from the stranglehold of the executive arm of government. They will be able to control their resources. They will be able to know the number of persons to appoint. They will be able to know where which court needs to be renovated and where to build courts.
I'm afraid we have to leave it there.
You go to most of the courts now, the court halls are not even good for I want to thank you. Mr.
Mba Ukwenu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We are out of time. I'm afraid we have to just leave it there.
Yes.
And finally, on Journalist Hangout on Sunday, today's episode of Journalist Hangout Weekend Special is on Kano State giant strides in security. The state governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, adopted innovative policies and actions to make the state stand out in proactive approach to tackling insecurity. Babajide Kolade Otitoju was in Kano recently to get first-hand information about what Governor Abdullahi Ganduje is doing differently to make the state secure. Let's share the story with you.
Nigeria is currently facing all kinds of security challenges that threaten the overall well-being and the lives of its people. The year 2021 has been perhaps the worst in recent times, with cases of kidnapping, murder, sexual assaults making life miserable for Nigerians who already have to grapple with the ill effects of galloping inflation. Amid all this, Kano State stands out for the innovative approach to security. Indeed, of the 7 states of the Northwest geopolitical zone, only Kano and Jigawa enjoy considerable security. Banditry, which causes so much trouble and suffering in such states as Kaduna, Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, and some parts of Kebbi, rarely happens in Kano State. That Kano is secure did not happen by a stroke of good luck. It is the culmination of well-thought-out innovative policies and actions. In 2015, a few months after I was sworn in as governor of the Center of Commerce, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje granted amnesty to cattle rustlers, most of who operated from the neglected Falgore Games Reserve. The vast forest provided cover for kidnappers, cattle rustlers, and other criminal elements. Governor Ganduje met with President Muhammadu Buhari and appealed to him to grant approval for the Nigerian Army to use the forest for tactical training.
We had a lot of fears concerning Falgore forest because it was really a hideout for kidnappers, cattle rustlers. So we took our complaint to Mr. President.
Recently, I took a trip to Falgore Forest, located about 150 kilometers from Kano, covering an area of about 1,000 square kilometers. It lies in Tudunwada, Dogwa, and Sumaila local government areas and extends to the boundary line between Kano, Kaduna, and Bauchi states. The military facility boasts of an administrative block, dining, kitchen, clinic, guest house, 1 officer's quarters with 10 rooms en suite and 2 soldiers' quarters. The soldiers' quarters has 4 rooms and 25 bunk corners, which can accommodate 50 soldiers, meaning that the 2 soldiers' quarters can accommodate 100 soldiers. At the time of my visit, phase 1 of the work was 90% complete. It is understood that the second phase of the construction work will witness the construction of the Chief of Army Staff Office and car park, medical screening shed, operation room and signal center, 30 units of general toilets and ablution units, Mami Market, civil store, car park area, maintenance office and obstacle ground. Others are cattle ranch, access road, training sheds, grenade pit, observation posts, and 7 internal roads. I spoke with 2 of the contractors saddled with the responsibility of delivering the project.
Actually, it's an intervention project by the state government. This is a military training camp executed by the state government. The project started about 3 years ago, and finally this is the first phase of the project, which is about to be completed any time from now. So we are preparing handing over to the beneficiaries, that is the Nigerian Army.
We are putting in place auditorium, dining hall, army quarters, and officers' quarters. Because the construction is in 2 parts. We are given 1 part, and the other part was given to us, another contractor.
House of Representatives Majority Leader Adodogwa was on his way to his hometown on the day I visited the Falgore forest. He stopped by and took some time off to speak with me on the difference the location of the Army Training Facility in Falgore has made on security in Kano State.
This is a very vast forest, like you have seen, bordering other states. To my right-hand side, it bordered Kaduna State extensively. To my left-hand side, it has bordered Bauchi and some part of Plateau State also. And you can agree with me, Bauchi especially is providing like an inflow of bandits and criminals coming from the so orchestrated Sambiza and the northeast insurgency that is happening in the country. And this is a place that at that time provided for bandits like a safe home.
This afternoon, I'm at Falgore Forest, located in Dogwa local government area of Kano State. This is the location where cattle rustlers used to keep stolen cattle. In order to put an end to criminality by bandits in Kano State, who used to take refuge in the extensive Falgore Forest, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje decided, after giving amnesty to repented cattle rustlers and bandits, decided to invite the Nigerian army to set up a training facility within this forest.
Thank you for joining us, Your Excellency.
The governor of Kano State also told me how critical keeping soldiers in Falgore is and his plan to keep the area even more secure.
Falgore Forest, that is the forest between Kaduna and Kano and Bauchi. I'm sure you have been to Falgore Forest. So there we have already awarded contract for military training ground, including shooting ground, and also another form of Ruga system will come up there.
Kano State government has leveraged on technology to secure the state. The government has embarked on an elaborate CCTV coverage of key road intersections, markets, roundabouts, and flashpoints across the bustling city of Kano. Governor Ganduje threw more light on the CCTV project. He proceeded to demonstrate through the giant monitor in his office how he monitors security situation from his office.
We have employed technology. We have cameras all over the metropolitan Kano. We are still putting some cameras.
The governor has constructed security dormitories at all entry points into Kano. The Joint Security Task Force, made up of civil defense operatives, the army, and the police, are stationed there, conducting round-the-clock checks on people coming into Kano State and identifying undesirable elements. Governor Ganduje is convinced that Kano State is the most secure in the country and is determined to spare no cost in ensuring that it remains safe for everyone. Some residents of Kano spoke on the peaceful and secure nature of the state, aptly dubbed Center of Commerce.
Well, we are happy with how Ganduje is governing the Kano State. All the states that this insecurity happen is sharing border with Kano, but here in Kano, we doesn't have that kind of insecurity, bandits, kidnapping, and what have you.
Well, you could see vividly what the government is seeing. It's something that's not hiding. Looking at the interventions of the government. First, you look at what the government is doing on the internal security. I'm talking about the police and the support the government is giving.
Kano State has set a worthy example in the area of security, but experts say it needs to continue to invest in that critical area if it is to continue to stay ahead of sundry criminal elements and remain conducive to visitors and potential investors. Babajide Kolade Otutoju, TVC News, Kano.
Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State, finishing strong, I would say, is somebody that I've met and the kind of man is not your regular flamboyant person that will want to make noise about his achievement or anything, but is somebody like me. I did not give him when he started. I never knew he was going to, be like this. But every day he keeps consolidating. This is like the third documentary I've been watching on Abdullahi Ganduje, some of his giant strides. Jide, another one to secure Kano State.
Yes,
it was very important.
And some of those steps that he has taken are truly innovative. For example, he knew how dangerous it would be to leave that forest unattended to, because it used to be a games reserve.
By now,
from the
something else.
colonial era, it was a games reserve with animals and fantastic fauna and all that. But having been neglected, just the same way Sambisa too was a games reserve, neglected, and it became the haven for terrorists. Now the governor decided that, look, let us invite the army to use that place for tactical training. And the army, these days now, even for a short service course and all that, you have to come and do your training inside Falgore Forest,
And it's putting in place infrastructure.
And they put soldiers there, enough soldiers, they protect the area, they have where they can sleep. In fact, it's work in progress. They've not finished. By the time they finish, you have everything. Even the chief of army staff will have his own quarters there, so that if he's on a visit, there's somewhere for him to sleep. So now, with those soldiers in this area, that area is secure. And then those 3 local governments that this Fagore passes through, they will also benefit from the security that the presence of the soldiers provide. The governor did not just do that. He also set up security dormitories at the entry points into the state, meaning that at those security dormitories, those security men will be sleeping there. 24 hours they are working there. They are checking people coming into the town and people going out. So that way they are in a place that is secure, that is conducive. They can then get busy with trying to identify criminals and all that. And then the CCTV thing. Look, I looked at the thing. I was looking at Sabongeri, looking at other places, real time. And the governor told me that some boys attacked the bus, but they did not know that they were being watched on that giant CCTV screen. So immediately, security agents swooped on the area, and not one of those boys escaped. That is how we can use technology to secure our communities. He also said that they are going to put some gadgets also in this forest, so that when bandits come in, a kind of alarm system will be triggered, and those bandits will be arrested. We must give him credit that despite the fact that he shares boundary with some states that are not safe, like Kaduna, like Katsina, yet Kano State has remained very safe. Despite the bustling population, Kano has remained safe.
Because it's important that Kano is safe.
Yeah.
Kano is just like Lagos to the north. So it's a very strategic hub. So for these steps taken by Governor Abdullahi Ganduje.
Exactly. Lagos and Kano have been relatively safe in the context of the insecurity we have in the country. I think we are lucky because they are the shift towns of north and south. One thing I've seen from what Ganduje is doing is that governors are not totally helpless. Each time there is a crisis, they blame, President Buhari, they have kidnapped somebody. Governors, if they are creative, they can make a difference. And we have just seen that now. You don't have to, every time you wait for IDIG, you wait for Buhari to come and solve your insecurity problems. The man, to me, has demonstrated knowledge of the insecurity problem in Kano. And he took preemptive measures.
Yes.
Because if he had not taken over the forest, that would have been the natural habitat of kidnappers. But he decided to keep that place busy. Apart from doing that, he gave amnesty years ago. So it shows that governors are not really helpless. There are a lot of things they can do. Look at the CCTV thing we are talking about. Criminals are...
Most states,
yes, when they know they are going to be caught on CCTV, they will run away from that kind of place. So this is quite.
At night, the place will be lit and the camera.
And every entry to the city you have.
I was talking to him around 10 p.m. now.
Oh, this is the CCTV you have around the metropolis, have you?
Yes.
So you can monitor major
You see all of the major roundabouts, the road intersections, you know, they can monitor markets.
Quite impressive.
Capture those markets, and it's very, very bright, despite the fact that it was late, you know.
I've got a gift on the line. Thank you for joining us.
Hello?
Yes. Thank you for staying with us.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yeah, please, sir, I've been enjoying this program for a long time now, especially Babajide. He always touches the heart of the youth and Nigerians in general.
I'm a youth too now.
There is no much time. I just want to bring your mind to something.
Yeah.
I think if we can take a step further from what we have been doing, because as much as we continue to analyze, we talk and talk and talk, and we cannot put some certain things in place to see that we are taking a step further from just analyzing things that are going on within the society. I think we will remain in the same place, because I've listened to a lot of talks and a lot of analysis, but it has always been the same thing. So I think it's better for us to start coming close to the youth and start putting some things in place so that the youth can see that if there is still hope within the society. There are still people who can encourage them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, ultimately,
other states should learn from what Kano has done.
Yes, yes, and I saw it last week. I think Lagos State is also coming up with CCTV. Yes, I think.
In South Africa,
Lagos has been. They have a lot of.
Yes, I think we want to update it now. Put it in strategic.
In South Africa, criminals know that when they go to Durban and they commit a crime, they are not likely to escape. Because the CCTV coverage of Durban is impressive. They can commit crime in several other places and get away, but in Durban, they are likely to be arrested. So they too will not want to go to such places. So that is the thing, because what is the point in committing crime, maybe stealing money, and you can't even enjoy what you have. So and you go to jail without enjoying what you have stolen. So that is the thing. Is the old man who runs Kano has shown that he's got something upstairs, and I'm not really surprised, because he's been works commissioner for different governors. He was works commissioner. He's someone with a tremendous knowledge of the environment, and he came into the office. You cannot say that he was not prepared. He was deputy governor, two-time deputy governor, you know, two-time works commissioner, and he's educated. You know, so no doubt about it, he has shown competence to a reasonable extent on his job, and we just hope that Kano will stay secure. Yes, it needs to stay secure. We don't want Kano to become infested by bandits like Kaduna, like Katsina, like even Kebbi now. People from Zulu, they are calling me to say Zulu is no longer safe, that bandits are wasting people's lives in that area. So Kano needs to do his best to remain secure
from whatever is happening around them. Wale, how is Jordan?
Well, we are coping.
Another beautiful production from BQ himself. This is always very tedious to put this together. 120 minutes of news and current affairs about the most important thing with Festus Oluwatoyin. And this is very, very rigorous. By yesterday, got the snippet of what we have for today. Put on research, put everything together. By Thursday, Friday, we go to bed. How did they call it in print?
Already looking forward to this.
We go to bed, and then our director to thank you so much. Everybody at the back room, and Jimika with my prompter, thank you for making the Sunday Journalist Hangout on Sunday very interesting one. It's just from 1:30 to 3:30, and that's our offering today. Join us next Sunday for another exciting episode of the program, and you can also watch our regular journalist hangout by 5 p.m. tomorrow. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzuba. God bless Nigeria.